What's up, everybody? It is day 307, and we're going to talk about appraisals today. It's 2021, and the real estate market is a seller's market, and it's getting crazy out there. Prices are getting driven up, and, people are throwing down money. People are putting, talking about $10,000, $15,000, $50,000 over asking price. Like, it is just unreal out there. But it all comes down to if that person is getting a loan, is it going to appraise for that amount? It doesn't matter if they're doing cash. Who cares about the appraisal? But if they're doing any kind of loan, an appraiser is going to have to come out and look at it. So it doesn't matter if the buyer says, I'm going to pay you $100,000 over list price. It's going to matter if it's actually going to appraise or not. And right now, appraisals are in the air. Man, look at my hair. Excuse me. Some houses are coming back low on the appraisal. Some are coming back right at it. But normally, in a normal market, when everything is balanced out, the appraisal comes back about, 5% within the actual asking price. So normally they come right at asking price, a little bit over. Nothing too crazy. Normally, about 8% of the time, it would come in below the appraisal on the house. I've actually had one back in 2011. 2012 is when we sold. Was it 2012? 2013? 2012, 2011, something like that. Where our house didn't appraise for the amount that it was supposed to. It came in like $10,000 low. And basically we just kind of lowered the price. They put some cash down and we got the deal done. But, when they're coming up with $50,000, $60,000 over asking price and the appraisal's coming in $50,000 low or $100,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 low, then that's a big gap and that's a lot of cash that you got to come up with, and that's a big amount that the seller would have to come off of. So like I said, the market is whatever a person is willing to pay. If the person's willing to offer you $50,000 over list price, then obviously that house is worth it to them. But do they actually have the cash and the funds to put up that much money to buy the house? That's the main question. Do they have the money to buy the house? Not on a loan and not through an appraisal. Like, the appraisal is what it is. We're going to talk a little bit about it. But if they don't have the money the cash to go over the actual asking price, then they're probably not going to get what they want. That's just the way it is now. The appraisers are kind of they're there to protect the banks. And it's also, I wouldn't say they're there to stall the market out or anything, but they're there to protect the banks. If the bank doesn't think, the appraiser says, this is where I think the house is worth, the bank's going to say, okay, that's how much we are willing to lend that person on the house. They're not going to just say, yeah, let's just go ahead and go $50,000 over list price, because the market, that's not what the market is right now. It might be to a cash buyer, but it's not to a lender or a buyer or a lender or an appraiser. So there are different things you can do that we're going to talk about to get around, not really get around, but there's 4 different things you could do to try and go against that appraisal that came back low, and, try and fight it, do different things like that. But remember, the market is only as good as what somebody's willing to pay for it, and basically pay for it with cash. You can't just throw it down with a loan and the appraisal comes back low. So number 1, carefully evaluate the data. Like, go through with a fine-tooth comb on everything that the appraisal has come back with. If it's a good appraisal, it's going to come back with a whole bunch of information, written why it was done, written, the housing, what's all in the house, high efficiency, appliances, windows, all that good stuff. It's going to have everything listed out, like super, super detailed. If it's not super detailed, then there's obviously some kind of problem and the appraiser didn't really do his job very well. And so you really want to look at everything that is in that report. Go through it with a fine-tooth comb and think about what you have in your house compared to what's actually listed on the appraisal. If it's missing something, you need to bring that up with the appraiser. And, not all appraisals are created equal, and not all appraisers are created equal, because we're all human and humans make mistakes. It's just no doubt about it. Humans are going to make a mistake. It's just all there is to it. And appraising is not an exact science. There's no way you can just say, there's no clear-cut rules on saying this square house is worth this much because it has this, and this. You have to compare it around different ones. And you also want to look at the comparables that they used on your actual appraisal with some appraisal. So, like I said, you want to look at, maybe the error came in with the different wrong square footage, didn't update the roof, didn't update the high efficiency windows, all sorts of different things. Didn't give you the gold fortified, all sorts of different things that could happen with the actual appraisal and the appraiser. So when that happens, you could probably go ahead and request number 2, which is a new appraisal. And with a new appraisal, you got a couple different options. Like, as the buyer, you can go ahead and pay for the appraisal, or you could actually like split it with the seller, see if they want to come up with, half and half, because the seller wants as much money as they can get. And if you got a new appraiser and it appraised for the right amount, then, what's an extra like $300 out of their pocket to get to the price that they were going to, compared to if the house was appraised $20,000 lower. So you're going to have to call the lender, find out where basically go back to number 1, find out where some of the negligence was, and you want to ask for more, basically a more qualified buyer, or more qualified appraiser, because that first appraiser could have been brand new, could hate his job, could just not even know what he's doing, not even have the skills qualified to actually appraise your house. Maybe he's just been doing $100,000 homes, and now he's into this $1 million home, and he has no clue what the different kind of marble, stone is actually the column is made out of in the house. So that's something to think about. Like, you really got to dig through there and figure it out. So like I said, the buyer's willing to pay. You could split the difference. You could also, just the buyer forks over all the money, and then you can challenge the appraisal with an ROV. It's a reconsideration of value. And you want to basically, you just got to make a list of everything that's happening. So some of the reasons for a ROV is going to be 1, poor analysis of comparables of the properties. Like I said, you want to look at the comparables and make sure those are the right ones that should be used for your house. I mean, maybe you got a 3-car garage, you put a 1-car garage in there. Maybe you got a 3-car garage, you put a 2-car garage. You didn't make up the difference of it. Number 2, disregard of special financing or concessions. Number 3, miscalculation of gross living area. Always double check what he wrote down and how much he measured and things like that. Make sure it's the right square footage. Number 4, you also want to look at whether the appraiser performance is adequate to the section. So you got to make sure the performance is good on that. So let's go to number 3. Back up to the top. But you can file a complaint also with the state appraisal board if the lender doesn't want to do anything with it. And then that's probably the last thing you want to try is hit up the state appraisal board to, get a reconciliation or an appeal out of that. Number 3, meet in the middle. The buyer and seller can meet in the middle so they can split the difference. Seller drops the price and the buyer actually adds more cash to the offer, or actually to the closing costs or the down payment. And like I said, appraising is not an exact science, and every appraiser will tell you that. You can also, you can challenge the appraiser by going through these different steps, and just before you hit the lender, like actual challenge the appraiser. You might have some success, but you might not. And then number 4, the seller could always put the house back on the market. Obviously, they've lost some time on the market, could create some negativity out there, but you are taking a risk on trying to get a new appraiser, because the new appraiser could hit you lower than what the first appraiser did. Maybe the first appraiser was giving you some actual bonuses that you didn't know about, and then the second appraiser comes in and is like, oh, no, we don't do that. And then the other thing is that like I say, you could always put it back on the market and then actually recoup the money that you were going to lose with that first appraisal, because you got a cash buyer and they just really want that house. So that's what I got for appraisals. Now, in today's market, we are seeing some appraisals come back lower than what the actual pricing, the listing price is. So make sure you get with the realtor, get with your lender, and really find out what it's going to take to get into that house of your dreams that you're trying to go for right now. So go out there and make somebody smile tomorrow and have a wonderful day. Thanks a lot. Bye.